Hello? Hello. It's that time again. Oh, yes, it's that time again. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. How's it going? I think we're all here, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
we look like we're here.
Yeah, I think we're here.
Well, most of us.
Most of us, yeah. We're actually here for something we haven't done live in a very long time.
It's 2020, right?
I believe that's what Aki and Digi came to last time.
I think it's about that, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, you know, this is the perfect moment to say, hey, go and listen to us on Libsyn.
Yeah.
Because there's one episode before this.
Or Spotify, or iHeartRadio, you know, any of your preferred platforms like that. But without any further ado, I think it's finally time to say hello, everyone, and welcome back to Boosters and Spacetape relaunched live here.
Your screen still says starting soon.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
I'm getting there. So yes, taking it from the top. Hello and welcome back to Boosters and Spacetape, relaunched live here on March 4th, Saturday, March 4th, 2023, and we are back live. Yes, we're here. Can you believe it? We still live.
It's a miracle.
It really is. We survived the end times. We survived.
The end times.
Some of us. Apparently, Digi turned into a zombie, but you know.
Well, you know.
I mean, you know.
With 4 kids, that's understandable.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Oh, God.
But yes, everybody, welcome back to Boosters and Spacetape, relaunched, the podcast about Kerbal Space Program, real space, and other cool and sciencey stuff. With me today are my friends and fellow hosts, DigitalPsychosis and
Bonjour.
TheReadPanda.
Hello.
Unfortunately, Aki was not able to join us this week because he had some prior obligations, but we're still here, so hi!
Hi.
Told you we'd be back.
Yeah, we didn't lie.
It was a threat, not a promise.
Correct.
I don't know how to feel about that, but I
Look,
like it.
I'm like Shakira's hips. I don't lie.
I don't know how to feel about that.
Depends how much you like Shakira's hips.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Purely relative.
Fair enough. But anyway, as said, unfortunately, Aki can't join us this week, but Digi Red and I are still here to talk about some stuff, and we have plenty to talk about with Kerbal 2's recent early access release. So we're going to dig into that soon. But first things first, we do have our personal progress section that we always like to do. So I'm going to go ahead and kick that off because I've been busy. I've been quite busy recently, this past week in particular. If you're watching the video right now, you'll see I'm wearing a Crew 6 shirt. I was recently in Florida to cover the Crew 6 launch for Space Scout, and whoo boy, I am so tired of night launches, let me tell you. On Thursday, or no, it was Wednesday, I was up for 25 hours. I woke up at 4:30 and went to bed at 5 a.m. 4:30 a.m., I should clarify.
So essentially, what time did you have to set your cameras up before the launch? Like how many hours?
About 18 hours. So we set them up originally for the launch attempt that was on Monday before it got scrubbed, which we'll get into all that in real space later. But we eventually had a reset opportunity on Wednesday morning. And that was at 6:30 a.m. That was fun, let me tell you.
So anyone who likes rocket photography, you know, actually spare a thought for young man Matoro here. As a rocket photographer, he's put in the yards this week. He's given me a running progress list. Just I couldn't do it.
And make sure you go look at his Twitter where he posts some of them.
I also have a website. Shameless plug. Hey,
Please
I just
do.
added this scene to our overlay here. So if you want to take a look, I'll just show you real quick. Here's my gallery from Crew 6. There's a ton of stuff if you want to go check it out at www.davidD.photography/crew6. Or, well, no, there's a lot more. Just go to the main website. But anyway,
Just keep going. Yeah, there's heaps.
I'm running into time, so I'm going to go ahead and say that's about all I'm going to talk about for right now, because, oh my God, I was up way too much this week. But, Red, what have you been up to?
KSP, KSP2, and Power Wash Sim.
Power Wash Sim.
Yes.
Yes. I love Power Wash Sim.
Isn't there a an Easter egg at the end, or like some ridiculous ending? Have you actually finished it yet?
Oh yeah, I've played every single level at least 3 times.
Yeah. Okay. So
Respect.
the ending, isn't there like it's been out so long now? It's sorry, anyone. Spoilers. Isn't there just aliens at the end or something weird?
No, they're time travelers.
Time travelers. Okay, cool. So
Spoiler alert.
It's equally as strange.
And they're trying to save the world, and you save the world by power washing.
Okay.
And it's a, yeah, so spoiler alert, it's a weird paradox. What came first?
Also, they've added 2 new free content packs of 5 levels each, one of Tomb Raider and one of Final Fantasy VII Midgar.
Oh
cool.
my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, you get to clean up some of the bosses. You get to clean up Tifa's bar. You get to clean up some of the vehicles from the game. So,
Amazing.
yeah, and in Tomb Raider, you get to clean the maze, the front of the mansion. Let's see, there's obstacle course. The obstacle course you get to clean. So, yeah.
Incredible.
And those are both free content they added to the game. You didn't have to pay anything for them. So
I need to play this because it just sounds so dumb.
it is, but it's soothing and it's fun dumb. Anyway, so basically the 3 games I've been playing recently are KSP, KSP2, and Power Wash Sim. I play a few other things, but those are the big ones. So
Right on. I need to get back to Power Wash Sim. It's such a good game.
it's very soothing,
It is.
relaxing.
Strangely soothing.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what I've been up to. That streaming, you know.
Hey, cool. Awesome.
Well, I'll tell you about my what I'm doing at the moment then. The main thing that I'm getting together with my mates and playing is Raft. You want to talk about relaxing games? Raft.
I don't know. Bruce is pretty scary.
Yeah.
Bruce,
Until the
we call him
shark shows
Barry.
up.
Oh,
We call
Barry.
him Barry. But you get to a point where Barry's not scary anymore.
Oh, Barry's not scary?
No.
well, once you
like,
get
we've-
enough things.
Yeah,
Oh,
we've
yeah.
reinforced the entire edge of our raft,
Yeah.
and he just doesn't attack the raft anymore. So he's
Yeah,
not scary
Yeah,
anymore.
you just go to the edge of your raft with a stick and go like, get out of there.
Yeah, get off, poke. Now I have a machete made out of a street sign, and that is, hit him once and he falls off the boat. So it's fine.
I haven't played since the last update. You're making me want to play again.
I've beaten
think
the
it's
entire
fun.
game with friends on stream, so yeah, it's fun.
I think it's done too. I don't know
It
whether
is.
there's any more content being released for it, but it's good.
It's done.
It's done. Well, there you go.
It's done.
Highly recommend. And yeah, KSP2. I picked up KSP2. We're going to have lots to talk about when we get
When we
onto
get there,
that
yeah.
particular topic.
I think we all will.
Speak
Yeah,
for
there's
yourselves.
a lot. There's a lot. So we will be talking about that. And other than that, I've just been working on my 3D printed R2D2. So,
You're what? Oh God, he's for those listening at home, he's going to grow. Oh my Lord, that's
my
big.
3D printed R2D2
I was expecting
like,
something
to
small.
scale. No,
No,
Oh,
it's real scale.
oh my.
fits on my head. It's fantastic.
Gonna put one of your kids
Huh.
inside it.
No, actually, I'm going to motorize the whole thing. It'll be wonderful.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
I
I know
thought it'd
you
be
said
from the big Halloween costume or something.
I know you said motorize, but your accent made me hear murderize.
Yeah, it's going to be murderized, mate. We're going to murderize it. It's going to be an evil R2.
All right then.
You know how it has that little sparky thing on the front that makes it zap things? I'm going to turn that into a gun. Will you put the lighter in it? Was one of the questions from Tyrone's in the chat from this live broadcast. I will not be putting a lighter in it because that was BB-8. BB-8 did that. I don't remember R2 actually having... No, he had a blowtorch, didn't he?
So when are you printing a BB-8?
I mean, look, the whole inner mechanism of a BB-8 is a whole lot more complicated, but you know, one major project that's going to take me years at a time, please. Back to you, my friend.
All right. Well, so it seems like we're all keeping busy, and both of you seem to have been kept busy by a certain thing that just dropped into early access. Something I haven't been able to touch because I've been in Florida, and something, well, frankly, I'm not going to be able to touch because my computer won't handle it, but that's a whole nother matter.
You'd be surprised. I think your computer's more powerful than mine.
It has a 980 in it. I don't know.
Oh, well, maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I've got a 9th generation, but it's Titan GTX, so...
I think my CPU could handle it, but not the GPU.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, how's about we get into those first thoughts about Kerbal 2, at least for you guys?
Yeah, let's do that. Look, let me at least try and provide context for everyone.
Take it away.
Now, with all thoughts aside, I am going to say that everyone in this group, our expectations were pretty well tempered going into it.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that it was early access. The devs went to great efforts to temper people's expectations because, honestly, it's not ready, right? We all know it's not ready. We all knew it was not ready when we went into it. A week on, we still know it's not ready. The extent to which it's not ready has come at a bit of a surprise. The first thing I will point out on the release is that the price of the item being, well, what is it, $50 US?
Yep.
That is for anyone who uses colorful plastic money like we do here in Australia. It's about 80 Australian dollars.
Oh.
Now, that's coming pretty close to a full price game, like a full price AAA title. That's very expensive for a game that is particularly in this state. All I can say is that I am usually very, very wary when it comes to this sort of thing because I've been burned by No Man's Sky. I've been burned by the game Icarus. This is another occasion where my feelings drove me to want to refund the game. I'm going to be open about that because it is that level of not ready. So, with that out of the way, I will move on to the point about hardware expectations. Now, we discussed this when we did our recording a couple of weeks ago for pre-launch. The hardware requirements are considerably high. There have been a number of bugs reported in relation to system requirements, even to the point that the devs have actually acknowledged these issues, like the game being set at high graphics settings by default. Not great. Not great. Particularly when the game itself actually has a launcher. And in my opinion, if the game has a launcher, you can actually set graphics settings in the launcher and it would use an ini file which would just work in the game. It's not hard to implement. I don't understand why it was not there to begin with. just my opinion, right? Like, why have a launcher if you can't actually do these things outside of the game? As far as
Promote other stuff.
sorry,
To promote other stuff. That's why the launcher's there.
well, yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
Every company wants their own launcher.
Can we
So they
just
can put
stop
more in
that
front of you.
trend, please? Ugh.
yeah. I'm personally, I am not a fan of launchers, but when a game is in early access, such as this is, I feel like a launcher is appropriate because it will
Fair.
allow you to do things like change graphics settings before loading the game. The whole purpose and benefit of actually having a launcher is lost if you don't have those things, and it just becomes bloat. But
That's
to
fair.
your point about advertising, right? Like advertising other things, the most common criticism is that it seems like the advertising budget is huge, but the quality of the game it's just not there.
Mhm.
It's just not there. There are a
Well-
number of bugs that we've seen. Sorry, Red, jump in.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the people I know who is a part of the game dev industry wanted to make sure that I clarified and didn't call this game a AAA because it's actually more of a mid-range based on budget and studio rather than a
100%.
true AAA, even if it may have a AAA price tag for us. It really doesn't meet the qualifications for a true AAA inside the industry. So that's all I was going to add.
Agreed. It's a very relevant point because it's not a AAA. You know, it isn't something like Blizzard Activision releasing one of their titles
Right.
every 3 years or whatever it is. I don't know how often they release games anymore,
I don't know.
other than COD.
But that's the
Yeah.
point.
It's not the annual COD release.
And I just want to interject here. I think that's my biggest issue with it at the present. They're charging basically a AAA price for something that is equivalent basically to, if you remember the Kerbal 1 days, 0.25, if
Yep,
not
that's
before that.
If that.
exactly what I was going to say. Is it's like 0.25.
If that. And that's actually a really important point because, as I was discussing with Red earlier, a wonderful Twitch streamer by the name of Shimmy the JJ returned to play Kerbal 2 upon release, and I went and hung out with him, as we are all very familiar with Shimmy. And one bug that was very, very clearly evident is one that was resolved in one of those earlier patches. To put it simply, the apoapsis of a ship was continually changing. It was going up halfway around the planet and going down halfway around the planet. Why was that the case? Because the way the algorithm inside the game was calculating the apoapsis is that it was measuring it from the cockpit. So as a rocket goes around a planet, it is closer and then it is further away, and it is closer and it is further away as it goes around. So you fix that by measuring from the center of mass, which is what they did to fix it previously. It's a
Okay.
Kerbal 1 bug.
Wow. I've
That's
been out of
bad.
the loop, so I didn't know this. Wow.
No, you weren't there. You weren't there. But when I saw that, Shimmy just went, "Oh yeah, this is that particular bug," and I'm like, "How can that one exist? We already knew this was a problem. Why is it a problem again?"
Well,
That's
I mean,
bad.
just think about, to put that in context, though, this is early access. Fallout 76 post-release had the same power armor entering an exit glitch that Fallout 4 power armor had before they patched it. So, and that was a true AAA title. So, and that was not in early access, that was in full release of a full AAA title. So I understand everything that's just been said, and I agree with everything that's just been said. But my point is that bigger, higher budget studios have made even worse mistakes. So let's not.
Yeah. Look, benefit of the doubt, full benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Like I'm the kind of like a guy that went into this knowing that it's going to be a buggy mess.
Yes,
Right?
and it is a buggy mess.
That surprised me. That really surprised me because it's like we've seen that bug, and that bug has been gone before.
Yeah, that's sad.
They've supposedly entirely rebuilt the game, but they're still using Unity as the game engine. Unity's biggest problem is that it still uses some code from 1994.
Yeah.
I was just going to say Unity's biggest problem is it's Unity, but sure, we'll go with that.
You know,
those are the
that
same
simple.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
tomato.
Like it's got a lot of things that are old and archaic, and it's just that is the way that it is. And that's fine, but sorry, if we're rebuilding this entire game, why do it again?
Right.
It makes no sense to me. Make the same mistake again, right? But yeah. Look, the bugs I could go on for ages and ages and ages about. There are little things that I am really, really picky about that are just dumb. Like, for example, what's the one that I wrote down last night? The VAB. When you enter the VAB, right, to build a rocket, you look at the background of the rocket, and the picture that is on the wall is a plane facing upwards. If you turn 180 degrees, on the opposite wall is a rocket. It's a picture of a rocket on the opposite wall. That's a dumb UI thing which needs to be changed. You're in the rocket VAB. You should see a rocket, not a plane. Like, it's silly little piecemeal things that bug me.
Isn't there just one building zone? Like, there's no spaceplane hangar, right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No,
Okay.
No, not yet. Not yet.
I believe they're planning on one, but I don't believe it's there yet.
Okay.
I know it's not there yet, but I think there's plans for one.
Yep.
I wish that the controls in the VAB to move the camera around and such were the same as KSP1.
They're not.
No, they're not, because going up and down, I would hold, I think it's shift and scroll up and down, does nothing. I have to hold the middle mouse button down and pull up and down, and it's nowhere near as effective. And there are little things like that I'm like, oh, that's irritating.
Yeah. I know it's muscle memory and everything.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
the amount of times I've been caught out going shift, scroll down, like, that would be what would happen. But I'm with you. I now have to completely relearn how I move around the VAB.
Well, I'm hoping that they fix it, because it's just really inefficient if you have a very tall rocket to try to do that that way. And the other thing is the maneuver nodes. I hate
maneuver nodes suck. That was actually the last one on my list.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to jump it. I gotta let you do your thing.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right. I'm glad you brought it up, because I was going to skip past it. But it's awful. They're really bad.
I went to ELU today in KSP2, and getting the maneuvers lined up was
pain. Yep. I couldn't even get to Minmus, and you know how much I love Minmus.
Yeah.
All right, Aki, insert the Digi Minmus song here.
Minmus song, please. Thank you. All right. I couldn't even get to Minmus because I'm like, these maneuver nodes are awful. So that's a thing. I am going to point out that their stock rockets don't work either.
Wait,
really? I haven't used a single one of their stock rockets yet.
Well, I went in with the theory of, okay, this is the game that they are presenting with these rockets. I am going to assume that they've at least done some testing on these rockets and confirmed that they work, right? Seems pretty reasonable to expect that.
Yeah, you'd think.
Yeah.
When you stage the rocket so that you move on to the Poodle engine to the next stage and remove the booster while you're in orbit, the booster gets stuck to the bottom of the Poodle engine, the fairing slides off, but the booster gets stuck to it.
God.
And you end up pulling dead weight along on a Poodle engine.
Oh.
It
Yikes.
goes nowhere. You cannot circularize your orbit.
Wow.
And that's a stock rocket. Like,
Well,
Wow.
it
Why
was
is this
early access.
I'm going to say it. Why did it ship like that? Why did it ship like that? I don't understand.
Cartoys is saying that is a bug that also happens to rockets you build. Huh.
So it's a poodle engine bug,
Okay.
right? Car toys, it's an issue with that particular engine. My point is, if you're shipping the game with a particular rocket that you've designed as the development studio, would you not expect that you've tested that rocket?
Like, sure, it's an early access, but at least
But
make
that's a
sure
big
that
one,
works.
right? Yeah, right?
Yeah. Like, there's only so much room you can use early access as an excuse.
Yeah, correct. So, yeah, that's all I have to say on that. Gentlemen, feel free to jump in and add any other commentary about the release of KSP2. I am disappointed thus far. I expected more. Yes, my expectations were tempered, but I still expected more than we got.
Well, let's see. I played it a couple times, twice on stream, and I managed to, the first time I played it, got into orbit and then got to Minmus and came back successfully. Was irritated with the maneuver nodes, averaged about 12 to 16 frames per second with my potato. Up to 60 in certain static menus, but normally around 12 to 16, particularly 12 when it was like close to the planets and such. If I looked up at the sky, it'd jump up to 40. So skybox fine, planet surface not so much. The UI needs work. I'll just leave it at that. We've already heard Digi's take on some of that. The controls need some work. There are definitely some bugs. Apparently, they've already released a list of some of the bugs they've identified that will be fixed in the next patch. They are the physics engine seems a little bit questionable, but for example, when I went to Elu, I found 3 different kinds of rocks that clearly were going to be resources of some kind. They even had metal showing on one of them. So that looked interesting. I think that, I was able to put a rocket together to go to Elu, and I was only off by like 500 Delta V, give or take, to land on Elu from Kerbin,
Nice.
without using Kerbal Engineer or any of that. But before we get too excited, I took Val. It was a 1 Kerbal rocket. Took 5 years plus to get there, but still. And I took her out and was walking around looking at the environment and such, and I thought, I'll go back to the rocket. And on my way back to the rocket, it despawned.
That's so messed up.
So Val is now stuck in a spacesuit on Elu alone because the rocket's gone. So that was fun. Not that the rocket had any fuel left to go back home, but I was just going to finish the game up with her in her rocket. But she didn't have a rocket to go back to. And I went to the tracking station and everything. It's just gone. And there was no message about a crash or anything, nothing. It just despawned. So
not even if you went into map mode, there was no blip for it or anything.
No, I went to the tracking station to see all vessels.
It just wasn't there.
It wasn't there. It was just gone. So that was fun. Interesting. It didn't upset me. It was just interesting. I'm not particularly upset about any of what I've experienced, but then again, I'm pretty easygoing. I did find the price a little bit high for what we've got. I think that they set the price based on what they think the final game's going to be. And I think that too many companies are taking advantage of early access and not pricing things as if they were early access.
Yep.
You know, if I'm doing your beta testing for you, perhaps I should get a discount. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like they're like, well, it's early access, but we're going to put all this in it, so we're going to charge what it would be then. Well, okay, but that's really, I mean, you know, I feel like companies are abusing early access is what I'm going to say, and that's not limited.
In its current state, I don't agree with the price tag.
No, but I'm sure that the people who priced it were thinking about the fact that, you know, what you're going to get in the long run.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what they're thinking about. They're thinking about, you know, well, you're going to get this big, you know, multi-star system, blah, blah, blah game. And, you know, which will be great, but that's not what it is yet.
Fair. Yeah, it's completely fair pricing wise. I get it based on all of the things that they are going to roll out. But just like No Man's Sky, if you're going to release a game that does not have those things, you cannot reasonably charge that price.
Well, I'm sure that there's some accountant who disagrees with you somewhere, but I tend to agree with you that you shouldn't, at least. That having been said, I do like some of the things like the extra small, medium, large, which seem to be indications of, you know, 0.625, 1.25, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
credit
that
where it's due. Thank you for marking those.
Because now I don't have to look for the fuel through the fuel tanks to find the one fuel tank that fits that engine, because the engine says medium, and so I look for a medium fuel tank. Boom, done. So that part was kind of nice. I mean, there are some things they've made progress on. I don't want to just focus on the negative.
There do seem to be a lot of quality of life upgrades from the first game.
Yeah, it's just the problem that I have with that is that there are too many quality of life upgrades that they made to the first game that after it was released that don't seem to have made it into the second game.
Such as?
Yeah, true. Bit of one step forward, two steps back.
They made improvements to the first game after it released, saying, look, we made this quality of life improvement, and they're like, yay. And now we've got this game, and a lot of it seems like it's a step back to the initial release of KSP1, where those quality of life UI things weren't there. Now they've added new ones, new improvement quality of life, but I'll tell you, particularly the maneuver node, I need something better. You know, it is, I mean, part of me is like, well, maybe I should wait until someone releases the precise node or equivalent mod for this, because I love being able to just, you know, do incremental, you know, by 10 delta V, 1 delta V, 100 delta V, you know, in each of the directions. That makes life very easy when you're trying to get meshes up. Also, I could not get the data points to stick around. Like, I would pull up the apoapsis, and then I'd click on the maneuver node and the apoapsis would vanish.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then I'd click on the apoapsis and the maneuver node would collapse.
It's the entire maneuver node system doesn't work at all. It's really ugly.
So I couldn't see what the apoapsis would be with that maneuver node.
Ew.
Planetary intercepts as well. Like,
well, as someone who went to ELU, yeah.
the intercepts suck. Like, even going to Minmus, it sucked. It didn't work at all.
Yeah, I mean, I do
want to wrap up our criticisms though, right? Because, you know, we've got other things we should talk about. But I do want to end on two very simple points. Right, one is that it is an absolutely gorgeous looking game.
Mm-hmm.
They have done some phenomenal things to change things up, to make it visually impressive, that it actually just looks and feels nice.
It is pretty.
the space side of things is just absolutely awesome.
The lighting, with how dark it is and how light, yeah.
Actually having directional shadows, having clouds, like it's wonderful. It's really, really wonderful. The second thing is that while the physics system is kind of weird, I want to say thank you for not making it soup.
Yeah, no, it's not soup.
Right.
At least as of this variation.
The reason why I say that is
your
that
soup variation may vary by the time you hear this podcast.
Is it gazpacho? Is it tomato? Is it pumpkin with cream? The point I would make is that
hold on. Just this is how to find Kerbal 1 players from the old days. Real quick.
It's true. It's true. Because when it went to 1.0 in Kerbal 1 and the soup atmosphere was taken away, the amount of delta V you needed to get to orbit decreased by about 1,000 delta V.
Mm-hmm.
You did not have to engineer a rocket to compensate for 1,000 delta V extra. It is a questionable atmosphere right now, but it is still not soup. I will take it.
I would like to add one more positive thing, which is the music.
Oh, that has sounded pretty great from what I've seen.
I don't know if you've noticed, but there's apparently different landing music on every single body. And it automatically changes based on your environment and what you're doing.
It would be great if I would have actually been able to land on a planet.
Dynamic music, apparently.
That is cool.
I have not experienced it myself, but I watched several people who have confirmed that seems to be going on. So, I mean, and the music is pretty good. So, I mean, that's something I wanted to make sure we gave kudos for because, music can really make a difference in a game.
I know we're moving on, but I agree with you about the music. The music is wonderful. I'm in a bit of a mixed place about the music because having dynamic music isn't really a selling point to me because they did it in Monkey Island.
No, but I like the idea that each planet has its own sort of theme song.
No, I get that. I reckon that is absolutely phenomenal, but there are so many people that just go, oh, the music just changes suddenly. Like that's a conversation that is going on external to us where everyone's saying, oh, it changes all over the place. Guys, don't get too excited about that. They did that in Monkey Island.
Please tell me the space whales are still there, right?
The space what?
The space whales.
No, actually, I didn't notice any space whales, to be honest with you. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't been paying close enough attention, but...
If I can land on a planetary body, I'll go and see if I can find an Easter egg or two. But I'm yet to do that successfully. And when I've landed back on Kerbin, the wings on my planes have fallen off. So,
Oh, I couldn't get a plane to take off. My plane literally broke up on attempting to take off. The wings went flop, 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 and then it exploded.
Matoro, there is a screenshot that I sent to you in Discord that I don't know whether you can bring it up here.
Well, let me see. And then we'll have to move on, but let me see.
We will. Basically, I landed a plane back on Kerbin.
Where is it? I don't see it.
Hang on.
Or was it before I sent you all the stuff from the cave?
No. It was in. Oh, look, I'll give it to you there.
Thank you. Oh yeah, you never.
There you go.
That.
You're welcome. Yeah. So I post that now. Our Boosters and Space Tape Discord that we have off to our side.
Pulling it up on stream.
Basically, I landed the plane back on Kerbin. I went, cool, this is great. Saved game, quit, logged off for the night. Came back the following day, and that's what I came back to.
That looks like mine looked when I was trying to take off. I don't.
The plane wing literally fell off, and I know what your flap thing is. It's because the SAS system is broken.
Yeah,
completely broken. But yes, the plane, when I loaded the save, the wing fell off.
Well, at least the front didn't fall off.
Yeah, true, right? Right. No Clark and Door reference to the ship with the front falling off.
Well, the
At
front
least
panel.
it didn't despawn.
Yeah. True.
You gotta
True.
give it time. Give it time.
I mean, you can delete ships from orbit in the middle of flight just by right-clicking on them.
Okay, yeah, I saw that. This is the last thing we're talking about because we need to move
Okay,
on. But
okay, we
I
do.
saw that. Why would you add that without a confirmation dialogue?
Right?
That's
don't
just
know.
absolutely fucking stupid.
I don't know.
It's so easy to delete maneuver nodes by right-clicking on them. If you're doing that and you accidentally right-click on the ship in flight, in your rocket, in flight, you can delete the rocket in flight.
Who
That's
needs
bad.
that?
Who needs that? Why would you want that while the flight is going on? You need that from the tracking station. Sure, I get
Yeah,
that.
Tracking
Don't
station would be
do it.
brilliant.
Correct. It's just that's a silly little pet peeve. But yeah, that's it. Tried to end on a positive, and we ended on that.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Did we just click the self-destruct button on Kerbal 2 section? I think we did.
Okay.
Yeah. Mixed feelings. Mixed feelings.
Yeah.
But
Hopeful. I would say I'm hopeful.
Hopeful. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm going to eventually get the game when it's more worthwhile and actually have hardware to run it. But for now, I will live vicariously through everybody else and continue playing Kerbal 1. But with all that said, we have spent quite a bit of time here in our Kerbal section, so it's time to go ahead and move on to real space news. So,
It was supposed to be like the Morse code thing and stuff.
Aki, if you're listening, please make that a soundbite. I need that as a soundbite. Or better yet, just make that the intro to real space every time, and we'll be great. We'll be good.
Yeah.
I'm doomed.
You've done this to yourself.
Mistakes were made. Hey, Minmus.
Minmus. Minmus.
It reminds me of the song you made of me reading off all those things.
I remember that too. That was great.
Oh my goodness. So yes. I can't even do this. Oh.
So Matoro, you went and saw rockets. You went and
Yes.
took photos.
Yes, I did.
And they
you
were big
mentioned
rockets.
Crew 6 earlier.
Yes. So back on Monday, this past Monday, which was February 26th or 7th, I don't know. It was really early in the morning. Crew 6 was making its initial launch attempt to the ISS. It would eventually scrub at 2 minutes and 18 seconds to go because of a clogged T-Temp filter, which did not allow enough of the igniter fluid to actually get to the engines. So they
Ew.
scrubbed and stood down for their 24-hour turnaround launch attempt because of unfavorable launch recovery weather, and eventually reset for Thursday morning, which was March 2nd, at 12:34 a.m. It launched at 123414. They missed the perfect opportunity. Damn you, orbital mechanics. But yeah, they launched, successfully launched at 12:34 a.m. and 14 seconds, yes, from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, and launching the crew of Stephen Bowen, Woody Hoberg, Zlatan Alnayati, and Andrei Fedyev. I believe I pronounced their names right. And this was notable because Alnayati is actually the first United Arab Emirates astronaut ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I didn't know who the crew was. That's cool.
Yeah. So he's he set a record for his home country, and it was awesome. And
Congratulations, dude. Congratulations. That's awesome.
right. And Fedyev is the second Russian to ride on a Crew Dragon, following Anna Kakina on Crew 5. So he's doing things too, and they're going to be taking part of the crew as part of, it's either Expedition 68 or 69. I don't remember the number offhand. I forgot to write it down. That's my bad.
Nice.
Yeah. It's they're
Yeah.
at that point.
Nice.
But here's another thing. Before Crew 6, on, I believe it was Sunday. I'm pretty sure it was Sunday. The SpaceX launched the Starlink 6-1 mission from the Cape, and that was notable because that was that resulted in their 100th successful consecutive booster recovery.
That's cool. Wow, that is an achievement.
Yeah,
And it ties into my topic later.
it does. It does, and we'll get to that soon. Yeah, because we're
Sorry to reminisce for just a second, but do you guys remember the first time?
yes,
The first booster landing?
yep.
Yes.
All
I
right,
also
I
remember
remember
some
it
of the
like it was
failures.
yesterday. Yeah, well, we all remember the failures, right? Like
Where it lands and then slowly
and then
tips
falls
over
off.
and then explodes.
Oh, the leg didn't actually lock in. Let's completely destroy the surface of a drone ship.
Good old Jason
But-
Gray.
I bring it up because that first landing, remember it like yesterday. It's an incredible moment. If you are unfamiliar, please go and watch that landing because it was probably the single most exciting thing in the entirety of watching rocket launches for me. Because
Orcom
it was
too?
cool. It had never been done successfully before, and it happened, and that was wonderful.
I remember watching the first shuttle launch, so
God, and I wish I was actually into space stuff
I
then.
never saw a shuttle launch, and that hurts me.
oh,
Sad days.
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
Oh, it's fine.
I saw
saw
one of
SLS.
them. I saw one of them. It doesn't have a good story attached to it, but I've seen that launch.
yeah.
Sorry to bring the mood down there a little bit.
So-
Anyway,
Little
moving
bit.
on.
But speaking to the booster recoveries, this is not their 100th overall. Just to clarify, this is 100 in a row since their last failure to recover. So I think they're somewhere in like the 120s or 130s. I'd have to look up the number to be exact, but in total
Awesome.
recovery, they're in that range. But this was 100 in a row. So they have definitely gotten these things down to, more or less down to a science.
100 in a row. But
It's
there's been more.
insane to think about. And just on that note, they've had 14 alone this year. Or was it 15?
It's only March.
Yeah. Actually, their Starlink launch that was yesterday out of California was their 15th launch this year. So,
It's only March.
yeah, they're averaging, I believe it was Jeff Faust that tweeted, they're averaging, or no, it was Eric Berger. They're averaging a launch every 4 days and 1 hour right now.
That's crazy.
It's insane. Now, there is more real space news that isn't SpaceX related. There's just been a lot of SpaceX related news. On the Russian side of things, Soyuz MS-23 launched to the space station last week and to replace the damaged MS-22 Soyuz, which if you've been keeping up, you'll know what happened there. That was, at least according to Roscosmos, it suffered an on-orbit coolant leak due to a micrometeoroid impact. So,
That's what they want you to believe.
like I said, according to Roscosmos,
I mean, it
wink,
could have
wink,
been
nudge,
anything.
nudge. But yeah, so that's up there now, and it had the crew of one. It's a 0G indicator, which was I think a tiny little teddy bear.
Oh,
It was adorable.
Oh. See, I was going to make a whole lot of tasteless jokes there. I'm glad I held back on that because the teddy bear makes up for it.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
It was cute. It was cute. It was
I'm
even in a little
sad.
spacesuit.
Oh,
I gotta find the picture of that and show you. But
what was the teddy bear's name? Did it actually have a name?
I don't know. I mean, this was just a retweet from somebody on Twitter that I follow on Twitter. I don't know if it had a name.
I'm going to try and find out. Feel
bet
free to
it did.
continue. I'm going to try and find that out now.
All right.
Let's see how quick my Googling skills are.
How is your Google Foo, my friend? Find out now in the next exciting episode of Boosters and Space Tape. Wait, no, this episode.
Ball Z.
Yes. But with all that said, obviously it was a very heavy section for SpaceX related news. But that's going to tie into our next section, which is the one and only the Red Ed.
Yep. So this is not so much a history as current events. What I'm going to talk about here is Starlink and its purpose and what's happening with it and what it means for other countries and other projects. So for those of you who don't know what Starlink is, I suspect most of you listening do. It's a series, it's a project to launch a series of microsats into low Earth orbit that allow internet access, potentially globally. High-speed internet access, potentially globally. And the benefit of this is fairly obvious, but in order to completely build the network out the way it's designed to work, you need about 12,000 satellites in orbit. To give you context, at the time that they submitted for the license with the FCC to progress with this, there were 6,500 active satellites at that point. That doesn't count the ones that were no longer active but were still in orbit.
Just
but
in total globally?
In total globally, active satellites, there were 6,500. And they were trying to get permission to launch 12,000 and keep them active in orbit. So talk about more than, it basically would result in triple the number of active satellites.
And just for context, I just want to interject real quick. Each Starlink launch that SpaceX has performed has launched on average 50 to 60. However, 6-1 launched 21 of their new version recently. So carry on, Red.
Yep. So as of November 7th, 2022, only 14,450 satellites had been launched in the entire history of humanity.
Hectic.
Wow.
Currently, 6,800 are currently active as of that date, and they asked for permission to launch 12,000. Now, this wasn't 12,000 launches, as Matoro just indicated, but they did get permission to launch about 4,000 initially. I'm unsure of the actual number in orbit at this time because it keeps changing. I can give you a rough estimate, but as Matoro said, they're launching them in fairly regular intervals. They've launched let's see, approximately 3,500 plus some are already in orbit successfully. They are mass produced. They weigh somewhere in the neighborhood of 227 kilograms to 306 kilograms, but there's a version 2.0 that weighs about 1,250 kilograms, give or take, which actually has 2 solar panels instead of the 1 solar panel that the earlier ones have, and has a wider coverage range of about double the range on the surface. So this basically puts them in a unique situation because you've got a company putting these up, and basically because they have such a tight grip on the launch platform, they have a tight grip on the industry. It's not like Bob's internet company down the street can compete, right? So the EU is already looking at antitrust / monopolistic issues. But here's the thing.
As we call it, anti-competitive conduct.
Yes. Here's the thing. The only people who gave approval for this was the FCC. Because of the way the because of the way that space works, each country could give their own permission. Now hold on to your hats. There's a Chinese company that has asked China if they could launch 18,000 of the similar kinds of satellites.
That's a big number.
There's an Indian company that would like to launch somewhere in the neighborhood of 6,000 to 8,000. there are companies all over the world that would like to do similar things to what Starlink is doing. Add to that the fact that Starlink, owned by Elon Musk, recently took some political positions in regards to the Ukrainian war, disabling certain functionality for the Ukrainian frontline troops to use drones using Starlink, that irritated the Defense Department of the United States, in addition to some other things that he's been unwilling to play ball with. And the fact that the United States would like to have their own network that's owned by the government so that they could do things like, break in behind the Great Firewall of China, or suddenly give Iran complete internet access around their firewalls. So it looks like we're going to have the federal government in the United States build their own network.
The only thing I'm going to say in regards to all of that is really simple. We've been talking about that being the case for decades.
Yep.
Like, we're talking Cold War sort of shit. And now we're talking about it all over again. So ignoring the whole geopolitical side of what that actually means, it's back.
Yeah.
It's back.
The problem is that there is no international agency to regulate any of this. So because of that, you've got a situation where there's nothing to stop every country from authorizing 20,000 plus satellites of their own to do this kind of thing. And now we've talked about it before, Kessler effect, massive Kessler effect.
One thing goes wrong and this is going to end horribly.
Yeah, one satellite breaks up and suddenly starts breaking up other satellites, and these are all in low Earth orbit. Now, the only benefit of that is that most of them will deorbit fairly soon if it goes crazy, but fairly soon is not as quickly as you might hope. And we could cause ourselves some real, we could block off access to easy orbit for, 50 years. So
all I will say is, considering how much of Skylab I've actually seen, how much is actually still in existence that actually hit the ground. It could be a massive freaking disaster.
These are all small enough that they'll burn up in re-entry.
Oh.
None of these are the Skylab mass where you would have that kind of issue.
Yeah, totally. But how much slag is just going to, be flying down as it becomes plasma and just hits the ground or hits the ocean, whatever.
The long story short is that this is something that we as a society need to address.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that we can continue to ignore. And we need to decide how to allocate these resources, because right now it's the Wild West, and anyone with a rocket and a country willing to play ball can claim they have permission.
100%. It's crazy.
And for their own personal interest, right? I mean, you could have any country under current international law, as far as I could determine, claim that they've got reasonable right to do this. So,
And look, as I said, I won't get into the geopolitical point, but from a geopolitical perspective, 100%. Like, everyone does actually have the right to do that. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the problem right there.
Imagine, for example, you had radio, and rather than the federal government allocating certain frequencies to certain stations could use any frequencies they wanted, and tried to use as wide an area of the net thing they could, and pump out the signal as high amperage as they could. Amperage isn't the right word. Wattage.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So we got some stations go up to 50,000 watts, I think, in the United States. Those are the AM stations that go pretty far. But Imagine if there was no regulation and suddenly they could put out, 200,000 watts across, from 600 to 800 range on the dial just to drown out everyone else. I mean, what regulation are they going to have about what frequencies these are using? What regulations are they going to have about what orbits they're going to be using? What regulations are they going to have about who tells who where their rockets are? We've already had issues with satellites, certain people saying, well, we're not moving our satellite, you move yours. We've already had issues with that in the past. So, it is not hard to imagine where this is going to go, and with geopolitical tensions rising, it could get even worse. So that's just something I thought we should discuss here and think about.
I think it's a very, very valid conversation that I don't think is getting quite as much attention as it needs to. But the point that the only thing I would make, and this should never be a political topic, I don't know why it is, but considering what the track record is on climate change, I don't see the track record being too good on this anytime soon. Like that's just my opinion, and it's really unfortunate because it's going to completely destroy what we've set up as a society, and it's really sad. So disappointing.
But every corporation wants their chunk of it, so
everyone wants their piece of flesh.
Yeah. So and what are you going to do? Tell the later people that come along, oh no, we already gave that away to someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a whole nother aspect to all of this that is really running big on Twitter right now, is how it impacts ground-based and even orbital astronomy.
Absolutely. In fact, SpaceX claims that they put low reflectivity coating on some of their Starlink, but no one knows really how effective that's been yet, because most people on the ground don't know which satellite's in their way. They can't, oh, that satellite, blah, 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 which didn't have the coating or did have the coating. That doesn't, it's hard for them to find that out.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Light pollution. In fact, there's some indication that there may be a new lawsuit against the FCC claiming that they didn't follow NEPA, which has to do with environmental protection and light pollution in the night sky, and that they may not have had authority to approve this because they didn't go through the proper procedures. So that could be interesting too. But long story short, why is it up to the United States to decide that it's okay to do light pollution over the rest of the world? I mean, because those satellites aren't just going over the United States. So if the United States decides, oh, it's okay, we don't care about that light pollution, what about, say, Germany saying, but we do care? It's not like they can turn their satellites off while they go over Germany and suddenly they're not reflective.
Right. Let's just turn off the sun.
Yeah, it is.
All right, Mr. Burns, calm down.
I mean, it's problematic that they only need permission from the country they're launching from. And so you could just imagine a situation where they could say, well, let's go launch from some little island somewhere that we can bribe and they can't tell us no, by a government.
Right.
So I worry about the ramifications of this. I worry about how it's being dealt with nationally and internationally. And I worry about the consequences of it being privately owned.
And
because
it's a very valid worry.
More importantly, I worry about the consequences of multiple international groups trying to use it for other purposes.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
I mean, imagine if you're China and you've got a tight rein on your internet. and suddenly,
If?
no, imagine
Sorry.
they do have a tight rein on their internet.
I'm sorry.
That part's not hypothetical.
Right.
But imagine you're in that situation, and suddenly the entire internet is available to all of your population because of these satellites. What are you going to do?
Yep.
Hey, just had a thought that seems endlessly amusing to me. You know how we've got trash barges in the ocean that are just, trash
Oh, like
floating
the Great
on the top
Pacific
of the ocean?
Gyre or whatever it is?
Yeah. Imagine that in space. Like, are all of the satellites just going to crash into each other? And
Are they going to make their own moon?
Yeah. It's like, is there going to be a trash moon? Like, are we going to have Transformers 1989?
Well,
we're going to fly up there and go bar weep, grana weep, ninny
Well, they're in low
that?
enough orbit that they should theoretically deorbit themselves and not get caught in like a Lagrange point or something.
Yeah, but I want a transformer name that with the voice of Eric Idle. Like that's where I'm at here.
Okay. I feel somewhat uncultured because I don't know what you're talking about. But
I think we're getting a little
Transformers
off topic.
1989. Yeah.
Okay,
but
I don't know that. I'm sorry.
We'll fix this for you, Red. We'll fix this.
Anyway, the point being that this is something that needs to be thought about, and that I don't have any answers. This is not one of those things where I can tell you what happened or what's going to happen, but it's something I think people need to be aware of and think about.
It'll take a collective effort, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But right now the world doesn't seem willing to work together on much of anything. So, it is problematic to say the least. And it's clear that there are private organizations that are quite willing to take advantage of that lack of international regulation.
Yeah. But,
so,
well.
Mm-hmm.
Not much we can do about that at an individual level. Words do not want a word.
Have you been speaking long, Matoro? You're well practiced at that.
Thank you. I know. But
it's all of that. What is it? Blue Gatorade or something like that, or blue?
Yes.
Blue drink.
Yes.
Toilet water. It's actually toilet water.
Is that what I'm being told?
It's actual toilet water, and that's why Matoro is having trouble speaking, because he's drinking the chemicals in the toilet water. You're all welcome for that imagery. Enjoy.
Anyway, moving on.
Thank you for saying that, because that's not science, Digi.
Good stuff.
We could keep going on and on about these issues, but we only have so much time. So,
and it is a sociological problem, right? It really is. I agree with you, Matoro. We could go on about it forever. So, guys, and thank you, Red. Don't want to completely and totally steamroll you out of it, because it's such an important piece of conversation.
I do want to just say this. Thank you, Red, for that topic, because that was a great discussion today.
Yeah. I am going to point out, though, that now it's time for me to get onto the proper science, the things that are actually scientific, that are so important to us all. I need to know, guys, Matoro, Red, I know this is not your particular field of knowledge, but I need to know what would happen if you cooled your blood plasma down into a gas.
Pain?
What would happen?
Wait a minute. It's already a liquid.
No, but it's plasma. Like, it's blood in a plasma state. Right?
Plasma.
If you cool it down from a plasma state, it becomes a gas,
not
right?
Science, Digi.
But that's what it is. It's right there. It's blood plasma, right?
I love it.
I think you broke him.
I love it. It's good. That's a good one, Digi.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Good. I like that one.
You don't have an explanation for me. All right. Fine.
No.
Then all right. Maybe you'll be able to explain this. How do they extract the oil from babies? Like,
And if tin whistles are made out of tin, what are foghorns made out of?
I don't know. It sounds like very wet gas.
But how do we make bottles out of water?
Oh my god! Help, guys! If no information makes it out of black holes, how do we know about them? Is there a snitch? Can you tell me? Is there a snitch black hole out there that's leaking all of this information? I need to know.
This hurts so much, but I am so glad we brought this back.
Guys, what is the square of the bottom of a tree?
Oh, obviously the square root.
It's the root, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be. It's got to be.
But what is that?
When making yogurt,
they don't have roots.
when making yogurt, I got to know, guys. When making yogurt, what social events and music should I let it experience so that it becomes cultured?
That's good.
I need to know. Seriously, I've got some batches going at the moment. I need to make sure that it tastes right.
Shakespeare.
What's the advantage for English people to live in hams? You know, like Tottenham, West Ham, Nottingham, Southampton, Birmingham. Like, what's the benefit? I need to know.
Hey, even Alabamans do that.
Well, there you go. Yeah. How much does the internet weigh?
I feel like I've heard this one before.
Like, no, it's an open-ended question. I need to know. How much does the internet weigh? No one
Part of
knows?
me wants to talk about fiber optic weight and copper wire weight. And...
I think Red and I are thinking the same way.
My God, there's a logical answer. Please save me.
Yes, there is.
All right, fine. I'm going to leave it with an open-ended question for everyone. Super quick. That's not science for everyone here. Very interesting question right here. What is the state of slime? Is it a solid or a liquid?
Is there an answer to that one?
I don't know. Is there? These are just the things that I think about.
Is glass a solid or a liquid? Answer
It's
that.
a solid.
It's a solid.
Yep.
When it's room temperature, it's solid.
Yep. People used to think it was a highly viscous liquid at room temperature, but it turns out that it's not.
Huh. Yeah, I'd always heard that.
That's
That's why
reckons it's a plasma.
Yeah, there was this whole thing about windows being thicker at the bottom and so on, old windows being thicker at the bottom. But it turns out that that's because the old glass people used to put the thicker part at the bottom.
Oh. Huh.
Because they went, gravity. It won't break that way.
Exactly. It turns out that that's why that was.
Yeah. Yeah. Resender reckons that slime is a plasma. It's like, so if you cool it down, does it become a gas? These things I need to know. When it stops being a plasma state, what happens when it turns into a gas? Oh God, my brain.
I don't even know what to say to this.
Well, I think it's a little bit different than the old That's Not Science Digi, because these seem more dad joke related, but then that makes sense with Digi being a dad, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's part of me, yeah.
And he's got four times the ability.
Yeah.
Are you a Super
It's
Saiyan
growing.
dad?
Am I what?
Are you a Super Saiyan dad?
I am a Super Saiyan. No. Yeah. No, I just became a parent of twins, so you know, that's life.
How are you functioning?
I don't know. Clearly, I think you've got some idea of how I'm functioning because you just got questions like those.
You know,
and
that's
there's a lot more.
Damn good answer.
There's a lot more, and I will save them for future episodes, but they are the first batch.
Oh, this makes me look forward to 2 weeks from now.
Yep.
But
Thank you for indulging me, everyone. If you have answers to any of these questions, please feel free to share them via social media. Feel free to tweet them at us.
Yeah.
Alternatively, I believe the email address is still there, isn't it?
It is. We do. And we'll get into that very shortly.
Feel free
But,
to email us with answers to those questions. If you know,
yes,
I would love to see the maths on all of them.
And if you have anything else to email us, questions or topics of interest, by all means, please do. And again, we'll get into this in a moment, but yes, it's there. It's available. And we also have an Instagram if you want to message there. Or we have various ways to contact us.
Yes.
But on that note, I think it's a good time to start wrapping things up. And I also want to bring up something we were talking about bringing into the podcast format very soon. If you two are up for talking about that real quick.
Go for it.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I'm pretty sure I do.
It's the next section in the list. I just
I should look at the list.
How dramatic.
Wow, am I
Red's
the
like,
only one paying attention to the list?
Red's going, oh God, am I out of the loop? Did I miss
there it
something
goes.
here?
No,
I
I'm
better not
sorry, I
say
just-
anything.
No,
Oh.
it's all good. It's all good.
I'm looking at too many screens here. I'm supposed to be watching things for
good, you're
cues
good.
and stuff.
Yes,
I'm
you're
missing
good.
things. I
Don't
don't know
worry.
what I'm
Don't worry,
doing.
I'm taking it back over. So
We're taking the
yes.
Mickey.
Okay, sorry. There's something. Oh, hang on. Something's in my throat.
Oh.
Aki can fix
Yeah.
that in post.
Yep, fix it in post, Aki. Thanks very much.
Oh, he's gonna
Which
hate us
bottle
this
is
week.
that? I got to make sure I know which bottle.
This is the
that
I'm thirsty bottle.
Okay, good.
This is the move it along bottle. But anyway,
Is the move it along bottle mostly empty? Uh-oh.
actually, it's over half done.
Yeah,
No,
look, if we
Wasn't looking.
No, you're good. You're good.
if we go miles over time, Matoro's just going to open that bottle and go, and just pour it over his head. Like, oh my God.
I'm gonna have to go back and
Gatorade
look
at
at
the
the
end
bottom
of a
and see
football
how
match.
far I was into the history corner before he started chugging it.
And every segment before that.
Well, before we get too far off track here, I did want to bring up one thing we've been talking about doing, and next week we should have Aki back, but he's going to be
2
on.
weeks.
Yeah, sorry. Next episode we should have Aki back. Thank you. But every other episode, due to his own personal commitments, he will not be able to join us. So we have been talking about and are currently planning on bringing on guests. And we'll leave it a secret who our first one's going to be. Yeah, we're going to leave that a secret.
We'll let you know
We'll let you
closer
know.
to.
Yeah.
There will be some promotional material, I'm sure.
Oh, most definitely.
Mm.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up while I was thinking about it, because that should be fun. We're gonna have guests, like fellow rocket jockeys. That would be ideal. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a particular person in mind to be our first guest. We just need to await an answer. I've already contacted him, so we'll see where that goes. But
See what his availability is like.
yeah, it's going to come down to availability. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and start playing the music, and we can start wrapping things up here because it is time for us to call it an episode, y'all. So without any further ado, this has been fun today, y'all. I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah.
I miss doing this live.
So do I. It's so much fun.
It really is. But,
We're going to have to fix so much in post when we do it live, really.
Oh, yeah. I feel for Aki, but then again, I'm not having to edit, so yay! All
Thanks,
I got-
Aki. Thanks, Aki.
We love
Thanks
you,
for
Aki.
editing things for us.
But on that note, y'all, we're going to go ahead and close it out and say thanks for tuning into the Boosters and Space Tape podcast. And we'll be back soon. Like we said, it'll be 2 weeks from now for those that want to catch the live recording, which will be March 18th. We'll be back at... Oh, that's after daylight savings. We'll figure out the time, but watch the socials for that. I forgot that's after daylight savings.
Nope.
But we're going to go ahead and continue on and say we'd like to thank Popsky for our commissioned intro and outro music, which you can find all of his music on his Bandcamp at popsky.bandcamp.com. That is POPSKYY. You can follow us on Twitter, TikTok, if we have that yet. I don't know. Digi, answer that.
Not yet.
Okay, it's coming. YouTube.
I need footage, man. I need footage.
Hey, you got it here.
Oh my
You've
God.
got it here. But YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, eventually. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, oh my God. You can find us there at Boosters and Space Tape, okay? Or at BSpaceTape on Twitter. You can shoot any questions or feedback to boostersandspacetape@gmail.com. And to keep up with the live recordings, you can follow here on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Matoro, Matoro. You can subscribe to the Boosters and Space Tape podcast on various platforms, including iTunes, Libsyn, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, as we mentioned earlier. And with that said, everybody, I have been Matoro, and with me have been my wonderful friends, DigitalPsychosis. He's down
Thank
there.
you, sir.
And TheReadPanda.
Hello. Goodbye.
Thanks again, everybody. And thank you, too. This has been a wonderful day. We'll catch you all soon for more Kerbal, real space, and other cool and sciencey stuff.
Or non-sciencey in my case.
That's not science, Digi! We'll see y'all around.